I get shit done, I have fun, it's my time and I'm the one, I'm breaking through.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Business Renovator. I'm your host, Coach Phil. I was trying to figure out a different way to do that, but I haven't, so it's the same old, same old. But sometimes repetition is the key to change. So why do you do what you do? That's what we're going to talk about today. Why do you do what you do? That applies to me too. I'm not immune to this. We're going to have a high-level conversation around some of the reasons why we do what we do. But before we do learn what we do and why we do what we do, thank you for being here. If you're live watching the show with us today, thank you for being here. And if you're watching us on the replay to fit your schedule, we're grateful that you take time to plug us in and have a listen. If you're doing that, remember hashtag replay would be appreciated so we know. And if you have any questions, comments, or feedback for us for the show, or if you know of somebody that you think would benefit the world, us, me, by their message, don't be shy. Introduce them to us at the Business Renovator. That'd be terrific. So in order to put this on, I have a sponsor, which is me. So here we go. Here's my sponsor, shameless plug. If you would like to have your business growth score figured out, it's easy. Go to coachphil.ca. That's my website. On the top right-hand corner as you face it is a button, Business Growth. Click on that, answer the question to the assessment, and you'll get the report back to you. No credit card required. And if you do that and you find you're right on point, nothing to deal with, congratulations to you. And if you find that there's an area that you would like to work on, improve, develop, grow, complimentary 30-minute coaching session with me, myself, and you. All you have to do is book a time. The booking link is also on the website. And again, no credit card required. 30 minutes conversation with a seasoned coach. That's me. I've been doing this for about 15 years and a certified master coach with Focal Point. So if you have a question in and around business, I might be able to give you some direction where to go. And if it's not me, I have a whole network of other wonderful individuals, coaches around the globe in a couple of different organizations. So we'd be happy to have that chin waggle with you. Today, why do you do what you do? And it also applies to me, as I said before. I have a gentleman who he's in the growth business himself for helping others, but also helping himself. Every time he goes to an event to learn something from somebody else, he always has an idea behind what he wants to do. He's looking for what's the one thing that I could take out of that. So one of the things he took out of one of those events was, why do you do what you do? So he is an entrepreneur, a business owner since 1982. Robert, I forgot to ask how to pronounce your last name, so I'm going to do it like I heard. I just watched a podcast about Jenga, but that's not you. You're Jahnke. I'm going to go with that. Attributes his entrepreneurial longevity to persistence and adding value to others. I've experienced the added to values to others. He's shared some things with me several times. He has helped hundreds of businesses become more successful by using low-cost ideas, optimizing strategies. And in the last 3 years, he's spent over 1,000 hours learning marketing and self-development strategies, which he's going to share with one of us, those points with us today. He has owned businesses in these industries, carpet cleaning, insurance, advertisement distribution. That's kind of like swag, I think, but he'll correct me if I'm wrong. Travel, publishing, printing, mailing, marketing, and customer relationship management businesses. Currently, he is a business optimization coach. Again, why do you do what you do? Everyone has different goals and outcomes, but everyone has the same 6 needs. He's the president of Top Hat Marketing. He's my guest. Robert, I'm going to bring you up and you can make any alterations and corrections to how I messed up your names.
Hey, Phil. Yeah, my last name's pronounced Jahnke.
See, I got it wrong.
Close. It was very close. So nobody gets it very good. Good thing I didn't ask you to spell
Oh, I struggle with that too.
Nobody gets it right either.
No,
But yeah, you brought up a great point. So what, I've been to tons of seminars. Like you said, I've been over 1,000 hours in self-development. I've been to, seriously, probably over 100 and some seminars. So what I learned in the last couple of years is when I go to a seminar, my number one goal is to pick one thing that I learned that I can take back and implement. Because there's the thing people always say, knowledge is power. And I always say, no, it isn't. It's knowledge isn't power unless you take action. So I always try to find one thing to take action on where I go to learn something. I read a book.
I just want to say you and I drank the same Kool-Aid.
Yep. So going to Tony Robbins, I never got to go to college. Actually, my dad said he'd pay me for me to go to college, and I said, no, I don't like the school. I want to go in the Army. So I went in the United States Army for 3 years. And then I look back in my life, and if, a lot of people say I would never change anything. If I had to change something, I would definitely took a different step there. I would have went in college instead of the service. Didn't learn a lot in the service. Learned that I didn't like it. If you're an innovator, like you said, my title is Coach Innovation. If you're an innovator, the Army's not a place for you. So I was always coming and having conflicts. I was the hardest working guy, but so people I would argue with them, and then they'd give me extra duty, and then I'd be a hard worker. So I had a love-hate relationship there. So, but going to Tony Robbins, I actually spent $30,000. I told myself, I'm going to go to all his courses. I love, I kind of heard him years ago, and then I ran into him again, and I just loved his message. So I said, I'm going to go to one course basically, and went to a live seminar, and then I got hooked on it. And then I found out why I did that was he met all my 6 needs. So, and I said, what's the one thing I could take away from all this time and all this money I spent going to his events? What would I take away? And I brought this up as the 6 needs. So we all have different goals and outcomes, but we all have the same 6 human needs. What makes us all separate and individuals is that we don't meet our needs the same way. So I wanted to explain the 6 needs to you and in our audience. You can use this with relationships with your significant other, your kids, your families, and even use it in business. So I'm going to use this, show you how you can actually use it in business also. So the first need that we all have is certainty. And certainty is basically just staying away from pain, basically creating pleasure, staying and knowing that you're comfortable. If you think back in your life, if you're uncertain about your health, if you're uncertain about your job, you're not feeling good. You're in an uncertain state, and we need that certainty in our lives to just know that we have security. It could be some people just paying their bills. My wife, if she pays a bill, she feels good, knowing that she doesn't owe money. But it's certainty is also staying in your comfort zone. And if we all know that if you want to grow, you have to get out of your comfort zone to grow. So a couple other things, like my wife loves to have her house clean. She used to spend the whole weekends cleaning the house just to have that certainty that everything was fine and good. Some people eat to get comfort and certainty. Some people meet certainty by lowering their expectations. So you can actually meet your 6 needs by doing a positive need, a negative, or a neutral. So a lot of times people meet it negative to meet their needs, but you have to meet, there's 4 needs that you have to meet. So we'll go through the first 4, and then I'll tell you about the other 2 that if you don't meet, you just will feel something's missing in your life. And it's basically, them 2 needs are what makes your life, and it makes you happy, really. So a couple other things, like I actually have a son that's in jail right now. I think he meets his need of certainty by being in jail. He doesn't have to worry about all the outside things, so he does it in a negative way. Some people meet certainty by being angry and controlling people or controlling others. Some people meet it by going to church, by having faith. Making sure, some people, like I said, controlling others, or even making everything's wrong. Making everything wrong. This never will work. People do it, and they just do it by that. So, and some people do it by morning rituals, creating rituals that you can meet your certainty. The one thing about certainty is if you get too much certainty in your life, it gets boring. So God threw a wrench in there, and we all need uncertainty. So the second one is uncertainty, and that's mystery, surprise, variety. We've heard the saying, variety is the spice of life. Um, some people meet uncertainty by having and keeping problems. They do it by adventure, sports. I have a friend that reads a book every night before he goes to bed. You can't go, even if we're out at a party, at a golf outing and having drinks. He goes to bed and reads his book and gets his uncertainty. Um, and uncertainty is getting out of your comfort zone. So that's where we grow. Some people meet it by gambling, drugs, drinking. So, even you can get uncertainty from conversations. Actually, a conversation can be certain that you're going to get something from it. It can also be uncertain that we don't know what's going to happen in a conversation. So, and then some people actually meet uncertainty and certainty by watching the movie again. So we all know people that watch movies. Why would they do that when they already know what's going to happen, but they get certainty that they know it's a good movie and they might miss something, so they get that a little bit of uncertainty. And some people do, creating problems. If you create a problem, you definitely get uncertainty. So, and then the other thing I'm going to explain is if you meet three needs, you get addicted to that need. So I'll bring up the next one is significance. So significance is feeling important, of course. Some people do that by going to college and getting 150 degrees, going to college and they get it, and they just never do nothing with them. They just keep going and going and going. Some people do it by giving away. They go to donate their time or donate their money, and they get significance by that. Matter of fact, some people, if you ever heard of somebody that donates or gives something back and they don't even want to be known, they're still meeting the need for significance to themselves. So some people will find some money. If you heard them, people that found $110,000 or something in a bag and they give it back and they don't want anybody to know who gave it back, but they're still meeting their need for significance by to themselves. Some people will do it by making more money. Some people dress sloppy or dress sharp. They're always dressed up in suits. Most people know Jay Abraham. If you ever met Jay, he's always sharply dressed. He's got these designer suits. If you ever seen him on stage, which I've seen him a couple of times on stage, if he comes out on a break, he always has a different suit, a different tie on. He's meeting his need for significance. And if you ever had a person that has tattoos all over their body or earrings in every orifice of their body that they can think of, they're meeting it by being significant. Violence is one of the biggest ways to meet need. It's been there since the beginning of time, and it's always going to be there because it's the simplest, easiest way to meet your significance is by violence. If I put a gun to your head, I'm very significant at the time.
I ran a company there. They wrote a book, I think, called "The Gun to Your Head Marketing."
They make you do it, right?
Yeah.
And then some people actually meet significance by if I can't be the tallest building, I'm going to cut everybody else down, so I am the tallest building by cutting everybody else down. So we can do it by tearing other people down, which is obviously a negative way to meet significance. I've actually even had well, I'll talk about this later. I actually had an argument with myself about significance.
What?
And I'll bring it up when I bring up one of the other needs. So before I get there, I should have waited till that. But
Perfect.
a couple other things is obviously social media. We get significance. Why do people hear a ding on their phone and have to go look at their phone right away?
Dopamine.
And they get significance, right? Somebody's trying to talk to me. So, but anyway,
and the flip side of that is when they don't get the ding, they can go into a state of depression, not necessarily deep where you need attention, but you lower your energy level, right?
Yep, for sure. So we all need significance, and actually men's number one need is significance. So if number one need for men on normal, that doesn't mean like mine is not. I don't think yours is. But there is, if you took the average of all the men in the world, the number one is going to be significance. If there's any women on the line, guess what? If you tell your man, here's a funny thing, when you first start dating a man, you say, hey, take out the garbage, and nobody, jumping around the room and saying, all right, I'll take out the garbage for you. And then once you're in the relationship for a long time, it's like, what am I, you think I am, your garbage man? But but the woman, if you tell your man, thank you, but that's why men also, jump in. Let's say a woman goes and says, I need, or it's not just women, anybody. If you think you have a problem, what do men normally do? They just jump in and try to solve your problem for you.
Fixers.
Yeah, fixers. But guess what that does? It meets their need of significance. And sometimes they don't do that. So I actually tell women, and my wife also, I tell her, if you don't want me to answer your questions, tell me, don't, just listen and have empathy and don't listen. I mean, I don't need any help, just listen. So sometimes it's good just to have that conversation with your significant other and say, if you have something you want to go buy, you just tell me you don't need an answer or don't need me to help you.
I want to back up on that same significance thing. Man-to-man relationship. The guy I'm thinking of likes to do a lot of things for everybody. He's a very generous dude. But what I learned about myself was it took away my significance because I wasn't allowed to express myself as a man. In that now I just got a light bulb moment. That's what caused the tension one time between the two of us. He was serving, happy space, made him significant, made me insignificant.
Right.
That's what I got. Thank you for that today. Okay, well, I'll send you where do I send my credit card number to?
So, yes, and so, obviously if you're a woman too, if you ask your man, or ask the other person, hey, what would you do? Obviously that gives them significance. So they feel good and you feel good. And even if you don't take their advice, at least they feel good about it. So
right.
sometimes I tell my wife, don't just tell me that. Sometimes she'll go, I don't want you to give me any advice. And then it's like, it's eating me up inside because I'm an innovator. I always want to help. So I just sit and listen. So, but it's good to have that conversation. So then the fourth need, and that sometimes if you're so significant, love and connection's hard to get, because if you want to be significant all the time, it's hard to connect with others. They feel you're special, you're different. So so sometimes they clash with each other. So, but love and connection's the next one. And I can tell you a little quick story of myself. I was in the Army. I was a correctional officer in maximum security prison for 19 years. In the Army 3 years, so 22 years of my beginning of my life was since I graduated high school at 17, went in the Army. My first 22 years, I could tell you I didn't feel I needed love from anybody. I got married and had kids, but my wife would actually come over and put her arm around me, and I'd say, knock it off, well, we can do that at home, so I thought, sex was in there, but I didn't give her that. So I have actually apologized to her, since I learned this, and said, I'm sorry I did that to you. But you get that love. I always thought I didn't need love until it was taken away. And then, but what I did is I met it through connection. So you don't have to meet it. So both of them. So obviously you probably could think about this. Women need is number one need. If you went through where all the women took a survey, love and connections, actually love's the number one need. It's actually the number one. Most people need love at some part of that. But I met through connection. When I was younger, I had a basketball team. I had a golf team. I played basketball in the city league till I was 50. So now I was a captain of the team. I was a captain of my golf team. So I met significance, obviously, and connection through two things, through them sports. And I've also got certainty and uncertainty. So, I was addicted to that because I got all four. I got certainty because I knew I'd have fun, have with my buddies and hang out. I got uncertainty because you never know what's going to happen when you're golfing or in a sports event. And then I got significance because I was a captain of the team. And then I also got connection with all my friends. So I met all four needs. I was addicted to that. I would be hurt. I'd still play it and make sure I was there. So, another part of that is, sometimes we have bad relationships. And if you have a bad relationship, some people they get scared of having another one. So what do they do is they go get a pet. So I can meet connection and love through a pet. There's actually a little joke. If you take a significant other or a friend and throw them in a trunk and lock them in there for 30 minutes, so when you let them out, are they going to be happy? Most people would say no. But if you take your pet or your dog, put a dog in a trunk for 30 minutes and let him out, he's going to be more happy to see it. So it's easy to meet your connection of love through a pet.
Isn't that true?
So we can meet through love and connection through church groups. Even if you think about it, people that smoke, what do? They go, hey, let's go outside and have a cigarette. So they all go out together and they get that connection. You can also meet love and connection through problems. If I have more problems than you, I'm more significant, and I also get love and connection from it. People feel sorry for you. I'm sorry you feel bad. So some people cause problems to meet their needs.
So if we were to run into somebody that was really a negative Norm or Nelly, and they were venting and telling us how bad their life is, that's why they're doing it. Yep. So what I just heard.
They're actually meeting all four needs by doing it. So they get addicted to that behavior and then they keep doing it. So sometimes when you have a friend, and sometimes I have to get away from people like that because they pull you down. But I also try, if I can, I try to give them significance to make them feel better, so maybe they stop doing that, because you can't stop doing a behavior. So if you have one of these things that we just talked about and it's a negative behavior, you can't just stop doing it. You have to replace it, find something else that meets that need to replace that behavior. So an example is, I'll give you an example with them we're just going through these. If I could never understand how a man could beat up a woman, and maybe it's a woman beating up a man too.
Yeah, I know somebody who's in that situation.
So let's think about that. So if they're in that thing, they get certainty from controlling the situation. They get uncertainty. They can go to jail. They can get in trouble. They don't know what's going to happen. They get significance because of, just like I said about violence. If I'm in charge and I'm beating up a person, I'm significant. And then I also get connection. It's a sick connection, but it's a connection. And I can tell you, me and my wife, my first wife, we used to get in arguments and things and have makeup sex. And then, so it was that kind of a connection. So she met all need. She was meet all of her needs by making problems. And then I'd give it back, basically she met all 4 needs. And I didn't realize that till going, it's like, oh, that's why she kept doing that.
I'm sorry for laughing. You said makeup sex. You're putting makeup. I get what you mean, though. It made me laugh.
She made me put makeup on. No.
No,
Yes. So them are the top 4 needs, and them needs we have to meet no matter what. So I gave you one example. Even so, the the 5th and 6th needs. The second one, or the 5th one, is growth. If you hear the saying, if we don't grow, we die. We don't plateau. We don't stay on a plateau very long. Either you're going up or down. So if you're in a relationship, it's either going up or down. Are you working on the relationship, or are you not working on it? If you're not working on it, it's going down.
That even applies to a relationship with yourself too, right?
Yep. Growth is, progress is happiness. So if you're growing, it's the easiest way to be happy is to start growing and learning. When I got separated from my wife, I actually said, you know what, I got to work on me. So instead of being mad about it, I just said, you know what, I'm going to make myself better. So if I don't lose that relationship, I'm going to be better for the next person I go with. So I started working on myself, and it made me feel better to learn and grow.
And this fit. I have a few standard things that are in my show, and as you spoke, I went, "Oh, today is a tomorrow that you were so worried about yesterday." It's kind of what we're talking about in a different sort of way, right?
That's awesome. For correct. So so we can also get growth. Getting out of our comfort zone is growth. So that's getting you that uncertainty. A couple other things is teaching others. When I teach somebody, you grow because you're teaching. The best way to do something is learn something and teach somebody else. You retain the information. But if I help somebody else, you're learning and growing at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the last of this needs is contribution. And contribution, obviously, we know what that is, giving back. But the living is giving is a kind of a saying. The more you give, the more you live, and you're happy. But by volunteering, it's going to church, support groups, being a parent, even or contributing. Me right now, helping you guys on meeting if you think about me helping on being on the show right now, I can meet all 6 needs. I get certainty that I know my stuff right now. I also get uncertainty. I don't know what's going to happen here or what questions Phil might ask me. I get significance because I'm helping, and then I get connection with everybody on the call, and I get to learn and grow, and I get contribution. So there's where I was saying I had that argument with myself. So what you want to do with these 6 needs is you want to number them 1 to 6. Which ones are most important to me? Your top 2 are called your driving forces in your life. So when I was going through the list, I actually said, you know what, I'm not doing this for significance. I'm doing this for contribution. And then I would but you're still getting significance. But no, I'm not. I don't want significance. I'm not doing it for that. But yes, I still meet that need. So I went back and forth with myself, and I finally agreed with myself that I'm doing both. But significance is not one of my top needs. My number 1 and 2 needs actually are growth and contribution. So and if you know Tony Robbins' number 1 need is contribution also. But mine's growth. If you think about something and you say, you know what, if I don't meet that, I would feel like I'd almost die. I feel I can't stop growing. I have to. Phil said in the beginning, I spent over 1,000 hours. I've been tracking my self-development for 20 years. I have a logbook, and every day at the end of the day, I put it on my calendar, and then at the end of the month, I put it in a logbook. So I actually have a logbook at home for 22 years now. I actually have all my growth and how much I've gone, and every year I break my record. Almost every year, I shouldn't say every single year, but most years I break my record. In the last 3 or 4, I broke the record every year, and I just I'm addicted to that learning. And what good does it do if you can't help somebody? So that's where the contribution comes in.
Cool.
So
I'm just showing a summary sheet of all of them. The 6 needs: certainty, uncertainty, significance, love, connection, growth, and contribution, just in case people wanted to see them again in a snapshot. There they are. Also, you've created a document. I'm not sure how the best to distribute that, but if people wanted, I guess you could shoot me a message, however you're watching this, through your social media channel. Let me know that you're looking for it. We actually have a document that will help you help yourself. If I can get my mouse to cooperate.
Yeah. And I'll explain that to you while you're doing on the top up there. So what I did at Tony Robbins, I always say, how can I make things better? That's one of my sayings I say. So I went to a Tony Robbins, and he talked about the 6 needs at every single event I went to. I've been to 15 live events. He talks about the 6 needs. If you go look at Tony Robbins TED Talks, he only's done 1 TED Talk in his life, and it talks about the 6 needs most of the talk. So what I did is I came home, and I'm like, they don't do this at his events, and I've written in and gave them the idea, and I don't know if they're using it or not, but what I did is I came home and I wrote these 6 needs like up on the top of the page there. And then every time I did something, I wrote down, why did I do that? So, if I went and go play basketball, why did I go play basketball? If I get certain, like I just said, I get certainty, I get uncertainty, I get significance because I'm the captain, I get connection with my friends. So I wrote down basketball meets some top 4 needs. So I started making a list of things, and I left it on my coffee table for about 4, 5, 6 days. And every time I did something, I wrote it down. So your thing right there is examples. I put some of the examples on there so you can see some things that people have done, and I put a few things in there. And then you can see my needs right there. And obviously, it took me like 3 events to figure out, why does Tony Robbins do what he does at certain things. If you ever been to his event, he has you jumping around, he gives you energy, he has you go hug people. Matter of fact, it's a cool story. I told you my wife would hug me, and I'd tell her to knock it off. I didn't hug anybody. I didn't hug my parents. I didn't hug anybody when I was younger. I don't know what it was. I just had this aura around me not to touch. Don't touch me. And I didn't say that to people, but nobody, our family didn't hug, and my wife's family hugged everybody, but nobody touched me.
Right.
I go to Tony Robbins' event, and in the first 30 minutes, he goes, go hug 5 people. And I started freaking out. How do I get out of this room? And if you're in the room with 5,000-6,000 people, I was like, I can't get out of this room. And my mind said, well, I guess I could hug a good-looking girl. So I looked for a good-looking girl, and I hugged her. And then I turned around, and there was a guy I had to hug. And I don't think I ever hugged a guy in my life, except for maybe my dad when I was a little kid. And I don't think he worked at a correctional institute, so I don't think I even hugged him before. So I probably never hugged a man. I had to hug a guy. So it broke me out of my comfort zone for sure. And at the end of the event, I had about 200-300 people I hugged, and I came back, started hugging people, and everybody thought I was an alien. Somebody took over my body, because I started hugging my parents again, and I started saying I love them. I never said I love you to anybody but my wife and my kids. So it changed that part of me. So
cool. You know what I hate about my show? It eventually runs out, and we're getting close to the end, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's it's pretty much it. So if you look on that thing where you are right now, my needs, I've numbered the needs 1 to 6. So you can see growth is number 1. Love and connection, I put number 2. Right now, I'd say contributions number 2, because things do change. It doesn't stay the same all the time. Then I put down the second number in there. I put down on a scale of 1 to 10, how am I needing that need? So you can see, I think I meet all my needs. I'm a very happy person. I've had leukemia for 12 years, so I never know how long you're going to be on this earth. So I look at every day as a blessing, and I'm always learning and growing. So you can see my numbers are pretty high on there. Some people might be 4s and 5s. A lot of people in love and connections are usually the average is 4 to 5, maybe 6. But you can see I've numbered them there, so I know which ones to work on or maybe do. So like I said, some things change. And that's really, the last thing I'd say is, pleasure is an outside thing, and happiness is an inside job. So, the more you work on yourself, the more happy you'll be. So hopefully some people can take that and take the one thing away from here, whatever you feel it's the thing. I'll give you, if you give me 1 more minute, I'll kind of explain how you could use this in a business setting. let's say you have an appointment, you walk in somebody's office and you see they have pictures all over the place. What would you think their need is? Maybe I'll give you a little quick quiz here, Phil.
Significance.
Probably connection. Think about, with their family. But if they have trophies, let's say they have trophies and they have all the stuff on the walls with all the sports things they've been to, the UFC or Super Bowl tickets and pictures of the, games and things like that. Obviously, then you could tell that it was significance. And,
so you mean the shelf that I have with my certificates on it and that you don't see? That's what I do it for.
Yeah, you probably have it up there to make you feel good, And I used to read books and tapes, and I had my office with shelves full of things. And I looked at that one day when I got back from Tony Robbins, and like, you know what? If I see a bunch of shelves in somebody's office, they did that for significance. I feel good about myself. And I said, you know what I did? I made myself feel significant by looking at all these books and buying them and reading them. And normally I only read them once. And I read a book, throw it on the shelf, read another book, throw it on the shelf. I found out that it takes 7 times to retain information on average. So then I actually ran into Brian Tracy. I know you know him.
A little bit.
And Brian, I had a conversation with Brian and he told me, he goes, if you like something, keep listening to it over and over. There's most of the stuff is the same, just twisted around with different stories, different ways of explaining it. So if you like it, just keep listening to it. And it made a difference. So I stopped buying so much stuff and I started listening to things over and over. So if you love something, start listening to it over, and it takes 7 times on average. I'm not average. It takes me 8 or 9 times.
Well, what I like about that note of inspiration is that one of my mentors way back when, who became friends and a mentor of Bob Proctor, and when I listen to Bob Proctor talk, I can hear Val talk, because I met Val and I was in his classes, and I learned this from him. Change happens in one of 2 ways: impact, lots of love, maybe loss of one of these needs might be the impact, could be love, finance, health, whatever it is. That's the impact. And then the other was constant spaced repetition. So to read over and over and over. I have a handful of books I read on a regular basis or listen to on an Audible, and actually do study. And then I have other books I read once or half or segments, but those are not, the whole book is not a lot of books, there's a lot of fluff in them. There's only about 15 or 20% that's really good. But the ones that I read over and over and over, it's all good. And I'm at a different place when I'm reading it. I hear things or see things in the writings that were always there, just I wasn't ready to receive them yet. So.
And you talked about Bob Proctor. One of the things Bob Proctor did all of his life is he read a couple paragraphs of Think and Grow Rich every day.
Every day, yeah.
Every day.
Yep. And he was mentored by Leland Val Vanderwall, who also told him the same thing. Anyway.
Yeah, awesome.
That's a plug for guys that were came before us. Awesome. I'm going to do something a little bit different here now. I'm going to get rid of that. Oh, look at that. There's a website right there. Isn't that? It's like magic. It's like I knew what I was doing. Well, actually, I do. So I know you said right now you're on pause. You're kind of crazy busy for a little bit. But at some point in time, if somebody wants to reach out to you, they could go to your tophatmarketing.com site. And I'm pretty sure there's somewhere on here. Look at that. Social media on the left-hand side. All the places you can go check them out. And what's this one down here do? I'm going to click on it. Look at all. These are all the places you could find. There you go. So if you want to get a hold of them, this is a place to go. Easy to remember. tophatmarketing.com.
I should wear my top hat. I usually do that in events. Actually, I bought another top hat. Yeah, I wear it to events sometimes. There's also what I'd like to explain, because I know that your show's all about helping people. On the bottom, there's a reference thing on the bottom of the website. You can actually go on there. There's all kinds of articles. There's a synopsis of the Think and Grow Rich. There's all kinds of different articles on there that you can go.
Just follow the arrow.
Just follow the arrow down all the way to the bottom.
Am I there yet?
Nope, all the way to the bottom. You're about halfway down.
Oh, halfway down. Let me go to here then.
There you go. Right down there, it says marketing resources. There's marketing links and small business resources, but the marketing links has a bunch of different like Think and Grow Rich. If you haven't read the book, I'd highly recommend it. There's actually, if you go down a little bit, Keep going down. There we go. There's a list of it right there. Oh, a little farther. It's a little further down. There we go. There's a $25,000 idea. It's actually, just there's a story about a guy that gave one guy an advice and told him, "Here, take the advice and give me whatever you think it's worth." And this was like probably about 40 years ago. And the guy got a check for $25,000 for the idea. There's a thing, there's Strangest Secret, Earl Nightingale, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. It's a synopsis of the book. So I got a Death of a Sales Letter. That's that's Jay Abraham. We all know how to win friends and influence people. So I have a bunch of different things. The windfall profit paradoxes of Tony Robbins, a Jay Abraham report that he used to sell.
Cool.
We got the rights to that. So there's a few resources on there to help people. That's my goal in life, is to help and make people be better.
Well, part of the reason why you're here is to help somebody out there today, tomorrow, or 6 months, 6 years from now. They hear something here, maybe it'll compel them to do something, to take a step towards their greatness, their potential, versus the other options in life. And that's to wallow in despair. Hunker down and hope like life will be okay. Well, if we do that, we have to settle. And what I'm a fan of is not settling and going after what we really, really, really want. When we do that, life's a little easier. A little bit more fun, but not without challenges, not without some struggles, not without growth. But that's why we're here, in my opinion. Look at that. We're back to being the big size. So there was one 30-second thing that you would tell people to do. What would that be?
I get up every day and I do breathing exercise to get some energy in my body, but then I look at my vision board, I look at my incantations and affirmation, basically, but incantations, I use emotion. But I would tell you, I ask myself, what is my one thing today that would make the biggest difference in my life? And I give myself a 1 on my calendar if I get that done. So I would say, I would do your one thing, ask yourself in the morning, what's the one thing? And if you get it done, track it. There's a thing called measure what you treasure. So if you treasure getting your stuff done, measure it.
Awesome.
So I kind of gave you a couple there.
You did. That's all right. But
the one thing, I would say the one thing. And you brought that up at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, that's very good. So hang out. I'll see you in a minute as I wrap this up.
And thanks for having me on the show, Phil. Appreciate you. You were my one thing from going down to Cancun. I met Phil in Cancun a couple of months ago, and the one thing was hanging out with him, and we're hanging out doing the show. So
yeah, I knew his name at the first names, Robert. That's easy to say. I never thought. Yeah. Anyway, we're human, right? So here we are now. I know how to say it.
I'll give you a high five. Thanks, Phil. Virtual high five.
Right. We'll see you in a bit. Okay. Well, there's a lot of things that Robert talked about, the 6 needs. If you want more information about that, shoot me a message via social media or go visit my website and just let me know that that's what you're looking for and how I can get it to you. And I will share that. You can also go to his website, which I would encourage. Look at all the nuggets of awesome stuff that's there for you. Speaking of that, let's go here and do this one thing. This is my one thing that I do every show. And it's this. The U is like that in wonderful because it represents you. You are unique and you are wonderful. I'll give a plug to where that came from. Leland Val Vanderwall, some decades ago, introduced that to all of us who are in his program, the Balanced Successful Living and Balanced Successful Selling. He's not with us anymore in the physical plane, but he lives on with the nuggets that people like myself share. So remember, be your own wonderful self. And we're getting into holiday season, so I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Merry Christmas, however you celebrate it. If you do or don't, may abundance come to you and never stop growing, because that's really what it's all about. If you stop growing, you're dying. You heard that on the show again today. Till next time, I'm Coach Phil on the Business Renovator.
I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm brave.